Hello, and welcome back to episode 2 of When It Rains, It Pours, the podcast. I released the first episode this morning, and I'm already recording episode 2. Look at me. Consistency. I told you guys. We'll see if I get episode 3 up on time, Every week's a new challenge, but people received it so well, and I was getting so many texts and so much support. So I'm really grateful for that because I've been wanting to start a podcast for so long, and my friend Danielle started one, and she was the one that was like, you need to do it. You need to pull the trigger. So episode 1 was kind of just an introduction, get to know me, get to know my travel a little bit. And now we're getting to the nitty gritty, to the exciting part. And this episode, I kind of want to share some weird celebrity, quote unquote, encounters, if you can call them that. I haven't had any experiences with like A-list celebrities. Let's get that out of the way right now. It's more B to C list and then some influencers. But I always kind of say that my life is so weird and I have so many experiences that I would not expect. I don't wake up in the morning and plan on having the day that I have. The universe just kind of sends me weird experiences and opportunities. Some of them are really great. Some of them are just kind of odd, but I'm always the side quest friend and I'm always going on these side quests, and I've met some really interesting people doing said side quests. Some of these experiences have been amazing and I've kind of fangirled. Other experiences have had me going viral on TikTok and being called a bop. So, a little bit of great stuff, a little bit of bad stuff, but I'm going to share them all. I have a list of everything that I went through on my phone and we're just going to get into it. So, person number 1, this is more like a niche famous person, and if you know who they are, you'll know. And if you listen to emo music, this is gonna be more exciting for you. I think it was 2 years ago, I met the lead singer of Pierce the Veil. His name is Vic Fuentes. It was an amazing experience. He was very, very nice. But the circumstances were a little odd. People who are a fan of Pierce the Veil know that they're from San Diego, and I live in San Diego. And when I was going to San Diego State, the thing to do was when you're a junior and you're done with on-campus housing, you get a house. You get a house with 10 other people, and that's the thing to do. So obviously I got a house with 5-6 other girls, and we lived there for about a year. And it was the normal. I was walking to the gym, I was walking to class, and one day I'm walking with my friend Emma. She does not listen to pop punk or emo or anything. And so we're walking back from the gym and I just kind of go, and she's like, what? And I was like, oh my God, do you know who that is? Obviously, of course, she did not. And I wasn't 100% sure if it was him, but he was wearing a sweatshirt for When We Were Young. And it's a music festival that's like Warped Tour brought back in Las Vegas. And I had just bought my ticket for this and he was wearing the year prior's merch. So I was like, oh, that's Vic. That's my guy right there. And so I kind of just blacked out. So Emma told me about all of this later, and he was facing the other way, and I was like, oh, excuse me. And he kind of turned around. And, I told him I was a big fan. I had just got my ticket for When We Were Young, and I asked if I could get a photo. And he was super nice. He took a photo, and before I had had him turn around, he was talking to someone in the car. And he was like, oh, this is actually the person rolls down their window. This is actually our bass player. And I was like, oh my God, hi, big fan, kind of deer in headlights, got my photo and left. And, it was a great experience. And then, as time goes on, I see him a couple more times. I met him outside of his house. So the house is near SDSU. There's 2 areas. There's the fratty houses, and then there's the family neighborhood area. And since the campus is getting so much bigger, they've been leasing out houses in the neighborhood-esque area. So it's people who have owned their houses for a long time and have families or are older. And they definitely hate that college students are infiltrating that space. But he was super nice. I just felt terrible that I asked for a photo with him outside of his home when he was just trying to do his thing. I don't know if I thought he was on a walk or what, but saw him a couple other times with his wife and his baby. We did not talk after that, but he was very nice, and as far as I'm concerned, we're best friends based on that interaction. So another interaction that I had at that exact same spot, basically one street down, this is more of an influencer story. So this person, I'm not going to name drop them, they were on a reality show, think Too Hot to Handle, Love Island-esque thing. And so this was around the same time. It might have been even 3 years ago, and it was winter break, so no one was at my house, and I was there in between, going home for the holidays and whatever. And someone down the street from me had a basketball hoop, and once I had knocked on the door, And I was like, hey, like, I know you have this hoop for your son. I live down the street. Is it okay with you if every once in a while, like, I bring my ball up and I shoot some hoops? Fucking, ugh. But I had played in high school and I wanted to do something and I put some AirPods in. So I would do that every once in a while. And one, like, evening, this guy came out of one of the houses and was like, oh, like, I'm so-and-so. Like, what are you up to? Can I shoot some hoops with you? Blah, 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 blah. And he was saying, like, oh, like, I'm visiting. This is important for the story. I'm staying with one of my friends. And I was like, okay, cool. You know, we shoot some hoops. Like, I get his number or something. And then I don't think I ever end up reaching out to him, but we go and shoot some hoops, like, every once in a while. Like, I'll be out there and he'll notice and he'll come out. And he proceeds to tell me about how he was on this reality show and he's here, you know, visiting for ABCD. I look up the reality show. It was true. He was on a reality show. And he's being, like, very flirty and we'll shoot hoops every once in a while, but that's about it. And then he starts texting me and he starts calling me. And it's very flirtatious. Like, I'm not stupid. And I follow him on Instagram. He follows me. I follow him back. And then all of a sudden, it's Valentine's Day. And he starts posting this girl and tagging her on a Valentine's date. And I was like, oh, like, I think he must have a girlfriend now. That's, you know, whatever. Like, nothing happened. Respect. And then 24 hours later, once that story expires, he calls me. And he's like, what are you doing? Let's hang out. Let's go get a drink. Like, let's go on a date. And I was like, on a date? You have a girlfriend, sir. And he was just like, well, like, well, it's not like blah, 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 blah. And I was on a sick one. I might have been a little manic. Who knows? So I DM'd her. And I said, hey, girl, here's a call log of your man trying to call me, like, 24 hours after your date. Like, I think you guys might have just soft launched. I don't really know. None of my business. Here's what he's up to. You have fun with that. And then I block his number because I'm not a homewrecker. And she, you know, responds back to me and is just like, okay, like, thank you so much. She asked me a couple questions like, oh, can you show me some of the texts or the call log or whatever? And I give her all the receipts, all the information. But the kicker of this story, ladies and gentlemen, he was living with his friend, right? He was visiting and staying with his friend down my street. He was crashing with his girlfriend the whole time. And the friend that he was visiting was his girlfriend. And when it was winter break and I was there shooting hoops, his girlfriend was gone for winter break. So moral of the story is don't date someone that's on a too hot to handle Love Island-esque show ever. Yeah, disgusting. Hated that. Another little influencer story is, so sometimes I need to Google the statute of limitations on a fake ID. So for the sense of this story, this is all alleged and this is all made up and it's creative writing and it's fiction for legality's sake. So I was at a party. Well, I was at the club. I was whatever. And I went to an after party in Los Angeles with one of my friends. And I had gotten a little too wavy at this party. And I needed to go home and I needed to go throw up. And so I was leaving said party. You know, we're leaving. Some people are still walking into the after. This is a really short story, but it's more embarrassing for me. And I see a member of the Vlog Squad. So if you know, you know, I was a big Vlog Squad girl back in my day. Like in high school, you know, they have some other allegations going on now, but when I watched them in high school, I liked their content. And I said to my friend, not realizing because I was wavy, that I was talking kind of loud. And I was like, oh, look, it's Zane. And he hears me and he just goes, oh, look, it's Zane. Really loud. And that was the end of that interaction, but I do want to share that one because kind of rude, kind of embarrassing. No one's fault. Didn't make either of us look great. So touching on the fake ID of it all. These two were not celebrities I met, but they are celebrities I had encounters with. So we're going to put it in the same story because I think it's funny. Like I said, I did not look up the statute of limitation on fake IDs. So this is alleged and this is all fake and none of this is true. Anyway, I was going to two different concerts at, back to back. So concert one, I was going to go see Olivia O'Brien. And later she posted something about performing at a venue that took her fake ID when she was growing up. So it felt full circle and kismet. But I was going with two of my friends and I was first in line. Keep in mind, this was an all ages show and an all ages venue. I did not need to do this, but I gave them my ticket. You just show them your ID, whatever. And I was like, I'm going to show them the other ID. Why? I don't know. But they kind of shone a light on it. And then another person came up. It's not a good sign if a second bouncer has to come and look at your ID. For future reference, if any of you are under 21, it's never a good sign. And they proceeded to say, no, not only are we going to keep this, you cannot come in, which was unfortunate, but I was definitely in the wrong. So I went home and, sucked it up. And a year later, with allegedly the other fake ID, because they come in multi-packs, allegedly, I was going to go to the club. And I had a promoter, and usually, allegedly, if you have a promoter and you're underage, it's a lot easier to go into clubs. They have like an understanding with the security and I don't know how it works. It's just the truth. And I was going to this club. We didn't really realize that someone was performing. And so Trey Songz was going to be there. And at clubs, they'll have rappers or singers or whoever do like a guest appearance and they'll sing some songs, or I don't know. But he was performing at said club. And so the promoter goes in, my friend that I'm with, same friend as the Zane story. So she's been holding it down for a lot of these, but she goes in because she's of age, and I go to show my ID, and a second bouncer comes up. Never a good sign. And he said, hey, this is fake. You cannot come in. And he proceeded to tell the promoter, hey, like it's normally good, like it's fine, but since there's a musician playing, she can't come in. It's a liability thing. Like we only can have people who are of age here. So Trey Songz, we have beef internally. Not actually, but in here we have beef. Nana, great song, but 20-year-old me has beef with you. And then I turned 21 the next week, so it was fine. Speaking of, more interactions that didn't actually meet in person, I was a big Tana Mongeau fan growing up, and I was always told like, oh, you remind me of her. And I love her, and I love the era she's in now. But I don't always know if that was a compliment, being in 8th grade and she was in her I Want to Bleach in Town. I don't know if being compared to her was maybe the best thing or if it was a compliment. But she's funny, and I think I'm funny, so I will take it. That being said, the cover of my podcast is in my apartment. It's by this rain sign that I have. I have like a iCarly-esque hand chair. I have an Oreo side table. My apartment is ridiculous. It's like an iCarly fantasy, and I love it. I have a giant life-size stoplight. It's ridiculous in here. And I subscribe to the Canceled Podcast's Patreon. So there you get a lot of exclusive content and video. And in the video, Tana and her co-host Brooke go to TJ Maxx, and they see some hand chairs similar to the ones that I have. And Tana proceeds to say, I always say that I would love my kid unconditionally, but if they ever like some ugly shit like this, I'm going to need to tell them that they need to get better taste and that I hate them. And so I obviously made a TikTok about it and, filmed it and then showed my chair. And she responded that she was so sorry and that it actually looks really cute in my apartment now that she sees it all set up. I don't think she thinks it looks cute, and that's okay. And I still love her, and everyone can have their opinions. But that one was more silly and goofy and fun. This next one is going to be how I met a couple DJs that I'm a big fan of, and that actually changed the whole trajectory of my life. But pause on that. I have met a couple other DJs. I think I'm going to do a full episode about Las Vegas do's, don'ts, my experiences in Las Vegas, how to get behind the DJ booth. I got behind the DJ booth at John Summit. But these DJs that I met are two friends. So they're like a DJ group. They're called Two Friends. And they were coming to San Diego. And I had seen them once before, once before. I've seen them 4 times now. And the second time, I don't know how it had happened. I think I had tagged them in an Instagram story prior or something. But I got out of the request sent tab. They accepted some kind of message I sent. So that's always a pro tip. If you send someone a message that's public or they don't follow you back, tag them in a story. And they're more likely to see that, more likely to repost it, and then boom, you're in. You're in their main inbox. And I was like, oh, I have a plan. It's a duo, Matt and Eli. And I was like, Eli, that's my guy. I'm going to meet him. And it ended up happening. But I went to the show, and I held up on my phone, and they've posted it on their Instagram, and maybe I will insert the photo. Their photographer took a photo of it, and it's me holding up on my phone, Eli, I will give you the world. And they ended up seeing it. They pointed at it. The photographer took some photos, and after the show, he came down, and I took a photo with him with my sign, and I met both of them, and that was great. But the most important part of this, besides meeting them, which was great, and I met them another time, and I can share that, something really important happened at this concert. I met someone very important in the parking lot. So, like I said, I had been drinking and I was with like 8 other girls. I was, like I said, living with a bunch of girls in a house, and some friends came and we were all waiting for our Uber XL in the parking lot to leave. And this car was kind of trying to drive away and through the parking lot. And my friend said, oh, I think that guy in the passenger seat is cute. And so I was like, okay, look, let's go talk to them. So we go over there. And it's important to emphasize that I was talking to the person in the driver's seat. I was not trying to swoop her. And so we go over and I was like, okay, like we're going to talk to them, but we go on the driver's side and I lock eyes on the driver. And I was like, wow, I think I was so drunk. I don't really remember. And I said, like, you have the prettiest eyes I've ever seen. And he was like, thank you. You know, we're kikiing back and forth. And then I proceed to go, can I make out with you? And we made out through his car window when he was just trying to leave the parking lot. And he gave me his number, and we've been dating for 1.5 years. So shoot your shot, because I met my boyfriend in a parking lot and I harassed him. Catcalling is only okay if you're a woman, so it's fine. And I ended up seeing 2 friends again at a Celsius event that they were DJing. It was like a workout class, and they were DJing it. Met them again. They were great. Told them that story. They thought it was funny. So now we're going to do the most important story, the story that had me go viral. I went on stage with NLE Choppa, and I love NLE Choppa. His song Slut Me Out was my #1 song on Spotify Wrapped a couple years ago. So there's a common theme in a lot of these stories, and I don't really drink very much anymore, but I was 20-something. I was having a good time, and I stand by all of my actions. That being said, I went to a concert with my friend that was with me for Trey Songz and the Zayn thing, and we were at Petco Park, and Petco Park has really strong margaritas. It was NLE Choppa opening up for Kodak Black. He basically was like having a dance competition on the stage, and I was like, let me go up. So the security, whoever brings me up on stage, and they're doing a dance competition, I'm going to call it. If you are my mom or my grandma, please stop listening. Thank you. It was a twerking competition, and I was like, okay, I can throw it back. Like, I can do the splits. Like, this is my moment. This is my time to shine. And I did. And frankly, I ate. Like, I ate. There was some people that I went to high school with in the crowd who did post the entire thing on their public Snapchat stories and tag me. And I'll never forgive you for that part. Like, there was hundreds of people there, and I got to go on stage and have a dance competition, and I had to sign a waiver with Petco Park and his team that they could use the videos for social media. And it was iconic. Like, it was so fun, and it was just like stupid, and being up there was really cool. And I had the liquid courage, so I really went for it. That being said, I had like posted and like teased it on social media, and it went viral, as I knew it would. You know, if you throw out celebrity or people's names, like, people get very interested. They love famous people. People love NLE Choppa, and they also hate women. So the comment section was crazy. A lot of it was like, hell yeah, girl, like, good for you. That's so funny. That's so iconic. Like, you saw your shot. And then other men were calling me, you know, a bop, or saying that I, you know, would never amount to anything, and that was on the internet, and that's so embarrassing, and I'll never get a real job. I don't have a real job, so joke is on you. And it got me more views. It was good for engagement. So hate comments are good because, you know, they boost the video. So I'm not really mad about it. My last little tidbit I'm going to end on is, it's pretty short. It's pretty small. I worked retail my freshman year and my sophomore year of college. I worked at Zara my freshman year, and it was the worst experience of my life. And I might do another story talking about like retail nightmares, but it was after the pandemic and they couldn't try on clothes still, and people were just so mean. Like, I had women like throwing their returns at me, and I was freshly 18, and I was so hungover. Like, I was in college, and I didn't want to be doing that, but I did. And I did a great job, and I was promoted. But that being said, it was 2021, freshly 2021. So like height of the TikTokers in the Hype House, and I'm on the register, and I look over, and there's someone doing a TikTok dance in the store, but like not filming it, just doing it so people saw them doing it and their brain would associate who they were. So they were kind of like doing dance moves, but like looking around so people would put 2 and 2 together that it was them. And it was Bryce Hall, Taylor Holder, And a couple of the other ones, I don't remember who, but it was like that friend group. And so they were wandering around, Later I see on social media that Bryce Hall was doing his like San Diego State tour and showing up at all the malls and the frat houses and God knows where, and I don't know why. But they came up to the register and they were buying their clothes. And it was my last day. Like, I'll never forget. I had turned in my 2 weeks. This was my last day at Zara. And I was like telling them that I was making small talk. And I was like, oh, like, how are you? Like, oh, cool. Yeah, like I've seen your stuff. It's like my last day here, making small talk. And they go, can we use your employee discount if it's your last day? You are worth so much money. You need to use my employee discount at Zara? But yeah, I let them because I was like, fuck it. And then one of them said, where do you go? And I said, I go to San Diego State. And they were like, okay, great. Like, we want a party. Like, can you get us into a frat house? And I was like, probably. And so they all took my number and texted me in a group chat so I could get them into a frat party. And they were blowing up my phone because they wanted to go to a frat party. And I blocked all their numbers because I did not want to party with Bryce Hall and his friends. So those are the majority of my encounters. I've had a couple other ones. They've been small. I saw someone at a music festival and he was behind, he was walking away. He goes by Glaive and everyone was yelling his name. But I yelled his government name because I knew that would get his attention and I ended up getting a photo with him. I once saw Matty Healy on the street and my friend told me it was not him and that not everyone in LA is famous. And I'm dumb for thinking that. And then we drove by and it was Matty Healy and everyone was taking photos with him. So I'm still upset about that to this day. But those are my little stories, and I have some other episode ideas, like more story time-esque, and I'm kind of dipping my toe into the water of what's okay, because I have some interesting ones to share. But disclaimer, anything about underage drinking and, name dropping, it's all alleged, so do not send me a cease and desist or get mad at me for that. But I have a lot of experiences, I have a lot of stories, and they just keep going and they keep getting crazy because when it rains, it pours. I'll see you next week. Bye.